Hello everyone and welcome back to World of Warships Blitz with Terry. This one is for Boba Defett who requested it, big shout out, and we're going to be talking about the Tier 7 German battleship, the Gneisenau. This ship I have mixed feelings about, and I'm going to tell you why. So let's take a closer look and see what she can do. The Gneisenau is a very fast battleship. She's kind of halfway between a battle cruiser and a battleship. She was meant for commerce raiding in the Atlantic, and she has in World of Warships the big 380mm guns in twin turrets rather than the 280mm guns in triple turrets that she had in reality. This was meant to be a later upgrade, but they never got around to doing it. And this is a bit where my first problem with her starts. Right, she only has 6 main guns. That's probably the one battleship in the game that has the least guns. And why they do a decent amount of damage, and they have a slightly faster reload time that just got buffed, by the way, in 1.11, down to 19 seconds from 20 seconds on the main guns. If we look at her statistics, she does about 15,000 HE damage per minute and about 28,000 AP damage per minute possible. Whereas her direct competitors, the Japanese Nagato, has 8 main guns. Even though they have a slightly slower reload, they do 22,000 HE and about 36,000 AP potential damage per minute. And the Colorado, also with 8 main guns, is doing similar. So you can't really play her like a traditional battleship. The traditional battleship play would be to go around and find yourself a good position, be a gun platform, and rain down heavy shells upon your enemies. You can't do that in the Gneisenau just because you're outgunned by everything in the same tier, and you'll be facing tier 8 battleships as well. So what are you going to do with her then? All right, let's start from the beginning, and let's have a look at what she can do. Ship hit points are decent. The protection is average, I'd say. She doesn't have anywhere near the torpedo damage reduction that the American battleships have. One thing that's very unique about her is the speed. She has over 30 knots of speed. The only other battleship I've seen in lower tiers that can do this is the Tier 5 Congo, who also started out as a battle cruiser. So she is very, very fast. Her turn times is not great. As you would expect from a ship slim and long like this. The main guns are only 380mm compared to the 406 and 410mm respective of the Japanese and American ones. And as is custom with the German ships, the HE damage isn't great. She's got decent armor piercing damage. So in armor piercing, she's up there with the other 2 battleships with their 400mm guns. Which means that you can't really make great use of the main guns against destroyers or even very, very thinly armored light cruisers because you get a lot of overpenetrations and you only have 6 of them. I also find that on long range, while they're quite accurate, and this is again typical for the German ships, she has the precision module, but I struggle sometimes to get decent penetrations. I occasionally get bounces, and you have 2 less guns, right? That's two shells less per salvo that you can make a penetrating hit with, that you can get a citadel with. You get 1 shell bounce. It takes a lot more potential damage off than it does on something that fires 8 shells. The turret rotation speed is common at 5 degrees, and this is where it starts becoming very different. The secondaries. So most battleships have secondaries as a bit of an afterthought. It's like something to give you something to do at close range when you're broadsiding and brawling another battleship while you're waiting for your main guns to reload, but nobody actually sees any massive amount of damage out of this. Very different for the Gneisenau. She has, by the way, Gneisenau is how you pronounce it. I'm German, I know. No bias here. So she has 12 150mm secondaries, 6 on each side. I've got the reload time down under 7 seconds. They have a an enormous range of 6.7 kilometers for secondary guns. And that basically means you have 2/3 of a Nuremberg-class light cruiser strapped to each side of this ship. Right? She has the automatic secondaries, the 105mm ones, which also have a great range of 4 kilometers that just got buffed. And they don't do a massive amount of damage, but they're still out there. So anything that comes within 6 to 7 kilometers range of this ship gets subjected to an absolute murderous fire of secondary guns. Also, she has torpedoes. Yes, that's a battleship that has torpedoes. She has the same torpedoes that the Nuremberg has. That is historically correct. She got the torpedoes strapped onto her from the Nuremberg. And she has two triple launchers, one on each side. They're exactly the same, 5.4 kilometer range. So this means that anything that comes within 5.4 kilometers suddenly gets torpedoed by a battleship. She has relatively good anti-aircraft guns, especially the large caliber ones, and her concealment is terrible, as you would expect from a battleship. So, looking at the elite bonus that I put on her, I actually went, instead of buffing the secondaries further, which I was really tempted to do, I went with the armor protection, because her armor protection, again, is not that great. With all the buffs I have, I got her damage reduction up to 15 and the torpedo damage reduction up to 13. This is not a huge amount if you compare her to the other battleships of her class. And again, you'll be facing tier 8 battleships in this tier, so not the greatest thing. I definitely wanted to go with a bit more ruggedness, because she is a close range fighter. Obviously, she doesn't have a point at long range. The equipment is very unusual for my battleship builds. I usually go with primary gun reload booster modifications, and then with torpedo and fire prevention. With this, I've actually went down and buffed the secondaries, because again, while the primary guns are nice, there are only 6 of them, and you have only 2 turrets in the front. So if you have to angle and if you dodge, you at best get 2 turrets and 4 guns pointing at anything. So I went with the secondary reload time just to get these murderous 150mm guns out quicker. I've gone with, instead of the standard fire and flooding protection, I've actually gone with the deck protection mod. Because one thing I noticed with the Gneisenau is that I get set on fire permanently. I have no idea why this is. The stats are not that different from the other ships, but I constantly get set on fire with this ship. The deck protection mod kind of puts that back into the normal realm, and that's why I chose that one. And lastly, instead of the torpedo protection mod, I actually went with the steering gear modification, and that's got a reason, because of her playstyle. Now, if we look back at the ship, like I said, you can't play her at long range, right? You have to get close to other ships, which means that you obviously be in the thick of it. It means that you've got destroyers chasing you. It means that you have to navigate around islands and you have to try and dodge torpedoes and things. So I did try to do a little bit about the abysmal turn time that comes with such a slim, long ship, which gives her the high speed, but on the downside has the problem with the turn time. In terms of supplies, it's standard battleship loadout. I've got the improved crew rations for faster reload, I've got more hit points, and I've got the ship speed buff. So I get up to about 31.3 knots with this ship. And again, this is where this gets interesting. So I find I get very mixed results with her. Some games I can do great things, and other games I just get murdered immediately. She is, I believe, very hard to play for a battleship, because you have to get in close to make use of her strength, which is her torpedo loadout, which is her secondaries. You can get citadel hits with these 150mm secondaries at close range of about, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 kilometers against other battleships. I've done this. And the primary guns are not that great. I often play her half the time I play her on her secondaries, which is weird. But if you the speed means that you can position yourself in places that you're not normally being expected. nobody expects a battleship to flank, or to expects a battleship to suddenly appear behind the enemy team and confuse them, or pull them out of their positions, or draw their fire out. So oftentimes this is what I'm doing. I'm trying to get my team to find a good position, and then I'm trying to rush. I'm trying to draw their fire. I'm trying to be a danger at a site that they're not covering, so the rest of my team gets the damage in, and we can win the game. I've had great games with her in terms of damage. If I got lucky and I got to flank, and the other team was not paying attention to me, and I got close to people, and I get to torpedo other battleships. But of course, there's always a great risk. So most of the games, I don't make it to the end of the game. I get sunk 2/3 through the game usually. But it's a good track record, and it's a fun way to play as well. It's a much more aggressive play than you'd normally do with battleships. It's less the find your position, point your guns, and then press fire every 20 seconds or so. All right, so let's give her a spin, and I kind of try to show you what I mean with this playstyle that I've got. Okay, so we're bottom tier, and we've got 2 destroyers, both very dangerous American destroyers. We've got a Tirpitz against us, which is not great news, 2 of them actually, and we've got a Lexington on the enemy team as a carrier. So I'm playing in counter, which means, do we want to flank here, or just do we want to take the left flank and see if we can defend there? Let's see.
Battle starts.
I'm gonna hang left first and see what our carrier is doing, and see if we can get some scouts out and see where the things go. Because our Akatsuki is going left, so I'm gonna try and support her, because I can actually almost keep up with her once I'm up to speed. Okay. Carrier scouts are out, going central. Would have loved to get some scouting on the left flank, but oh, there he goes. Good, well done. These torpedo bombers going left flank. That's a very strange fighter scout, sending them ahead like that. Okay, there we got a Sims spotted. There's not very much we can do about this, because I don't think we can hit them with our main guns. But there are 2 battleships out there and the carrier.
Do not leave the formation.
Yeah, let's see about that. We'll give it a shot.
Precise aim activated.
Can we get a hit in? We can. That's an over-penetration. It's a little bit of damage. But she's almost in range of the secondaries. There she goes. Let's take the speed out. Get the torpedoes out. And blast her with the secondaries. Turning in full time, because I'm expecting her to have torpedoes out. Hello. Oh, he just dodged them. Smoking up. That's not going to help you. And we got her. Okay. You see, this is when you're playing with a destroyer and you're playing against a battleship, you're not quite expecting that. So that's a good start. Okay, now let's see. Everybody seems to be clogging up the middle. So let's get her turned around, which takes forever in this ship. And see if we can get some shots in. Oh, we got the Benson coming for us. Oh, that's good news. Hello, Mr. Benson. Let's get the hydro up, just in case. Let's take the speed off again. Yeah, we're not doing a great amount of damage with the armor piercing, obviously, with the primaries. He's turning away. He doesn't have a great range on his torpedoes. Oh, stopped. Okay. He's seen that there's too much opposition. So at this point, we should probably get some fire up onto this new... Oh, they're trying to flank through the center. We'll keep the New Orleans back there busy, maybe. Or try to punish that Tirpitz. Let's try to punish the Tirpitz so we get the center cleared. Precise aiming out. And main guns up. And while they are reloading, you look at that range on these secondaries. Hello. We're out of torpedo range.
Aircraft incoming.
Oh, there's the carrier. Okay, let's rush to Lexington. Let's get rid of the New Orleans and rush to Lexington. That puts our carrier at danger. Let's see how this goes, because the team seems to... Come on, people.
Combat base.
You gotta defend against that torpedoes over there. I'm rushing to Lexington here. And the New Orleans is running. So let's get some shots out against the carrier. Yeah, you try running from me, my friend. Really? One OP? Terrible. Let's see if we can get one of the... Oh, there's the other torpedoes back there on the defense. Yeah, we've got the health to deal with that.
Enemy aircraft incoming.
There we go, good shot. It got a bounce on a Lexington. On a New Orleans, right? The hell is that? Okay, I'm gonna eat some torpedoes here. Turn in, maybe we can dodge one. Yeah, we only... Of course, we're flooding.
We're taking on water.
Yeah, that's why I saved the damage control for. New Orleans is just outside secondary range.
Enemy heavily damaged.
Okay. We got a Miyoko coming with us, and the rest of the team has done the right thing and is defending. Good. Okay. Let's rush forward, full speed ahead, against the enemy cap. Force them back. Some shots out against the New Orleans. Yeah, another Citadel. Nice. Okay. Lexington's back there. Can you people take care of that New Orleans, please? Nice, almost got our Miyoko. Okay. I gotta do it myself. Precise aiming out.
Precise aim activated.
Come on.
Torpedoes.
Where are torpedoes? Ah, must be the carrier. Okay. Don't care. That's what I'm in the battleship for. Okay. That's as much as we can do. Now let's get... What's that? The torpedoes? Might have been the torpedoes. Okay. Hello, Mr. Torpedoes. Secondary time. Sets us on fire, of course he does. Okay, this guy's a bit more of a danger than the New Orleans at this point. Miyoko, can you please kill that New Orleans? So this is when we get the auto secondaries and everything firing. He's trying to dodge my torpedoes. Not gonna put out the fire because the game's almost over. But we've got this. Come on, one more salvo. Nice. There we go. Okay. So we managed to push all the way up to the front, get their team distracted from helping the push on the other flank. Our team was able to stop their battleships from getting anywhere. And we got a torpedoes, a Lexington, and a New Orleans tied down. Mostly by ourselves with a bit of help of that Japanese cruiser. Well done. So we did a decent amount of damage. But look at this, right? We did only 36,000 damage with our main batteries, but we did get 18,000 damage with the secondaries. We killed one destroyer, who was having a bit of a surprise there, probably not used to playing against these ships. And we came in third, which is not a bad result in this ship. Again, I'm struggling to carry. The other Gneisenau did better. And all in all, it was a good game. I mean, look at the enemy team. Their torpedoes in North Carolina did a huge amount of damage, but our team was able to stop them, and we were able to disrupt their plans basically by pushing their cap and getting their carrier occupied. He couldn't support anymore. Getting their torpedoes occupied, who was guarding, and getting their New Orleans occupied, who we didn't manage to sink because we got distracted. So. It's an average game, I'd say. This was an average game. I'm not unhappy with it, but this is how I like playing the Gneisenau. I like rushing. I like posing a danger where wouldn't normally expect a battleship to be, and and playing against destroyers and things at close range, using those secondaries, just unleashing that massive barrage of fire. That's a thing that's great fun for me. But again, I also get frustrated with her sometimes just because you just can't get a game. You get shut down too early. You make a slight mistake, right? You rush too early. Your team isn't in position, or your team doesn't understand what you're doing because you can't communicate these kind of plans. And you end up being focused down by everybody before the rest of the team has has a chance to make use of the distraction, and then you basically wasted it. And so she's not a bad ship. She's a very strange battleship with really, really not powerful main guns, with massive power in the secondaries. She's a close-range battleship, even more so than the Warspite, who I featured last week. And she can be fun, but she can also be utterly frustrating. So looking ahead, the next one being up the Bismarck, she also has the 380mm guns. She only has 8 of them. After the Bayern, I was honestly struggling a bit with the German battleships, and I'm not quite sure I'm going to put too much more effort into getting really further up with the German battleships. I'm not a battleship player, right? I'll put that out there. I'm not a battleship player. I like my destroyers. I like my light cruisers. I like zipping around, repositioning, flanking, surprising, ambushing, these kind of things. So maybe it's me. Maybe other people are much more successful with it. But she's by no means a bad ship. But you do have to know how to play her. If you play her like a traditional battleship, you're going to have very poor results. So that's it for me today. I'll wish you all a Merry Christmas, and I'll see you next week. Cheers.